Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We are here at SEC Football Media Days inside the College Football Hall of Fame. Cassie Spazzali, Jacob Beck back there in the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. My pleasure to be joined by Chris Marler, Locked On Gamecocks.
We work together.
Yeah.
Same company. Yeah. Could have opened with that.
That was kind of the point. I want to talk about South Carolina. Of course, you can read Chris's stuff at louisianasports.net. I don't know what to feel about South Carolina. Can you help me with that?
Well, I'll start by saying as long as the refs don't get in the way.
Sure. Yes, of course.
I honestly, there's a lot to be concerned about, especially defensively, because you are replacing a ton of production.
Good dudes. And they beat some people up last year. I mean, they took A&M and just whipped them.
Yeah. I mean, same with Oklahoma and a lot of other teams as well. But what's kind of scary is like the production they lose. You lose all three linebackers. You lose like 60.5% of your tackles. You also lose both interior defensive linemen. And those guys were not just like run stoppers or just people that would plug the middle, but also each had 4 sacks. And so all the rotational guys and Eamon Warry on the back end, that's a lot to replace on defense. But you have Lenore Sellers.
They do.
And he's really good.
I want to talk about Lenore Sellers because as part of my research for this week, I watched a lot of YouTube highlights of quarterbacks from the conference.
Oh, that's fun.
And Lenore Sellers' highlights were very rarely on schedule. He's just kind of running around out there, and he's kind of faster than that defensive end, and then he throws it over there. But it never looked like he got the snap, sat there, and made it work. So, talk to me about what you expect from him this year. Do you expect a progression, or is he just he's good at this is what he's going to do?
So this offensive line at South Carolina has given up 41 sacks in each of the past 2 years. And the reason why that's so egregious is because one time it was with Lenore Sellers, who's an incredible athlete, as you just said. The other was Spencer Rattler, who's not the most fleet-of-foot guy. So you lose a ton in the interior of that offensive line as well. I think it's like 93.5% of your snaps. But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. They should be better on the offensive line. The big thing, I think, is he's such a good athlete, and he's such a good runner, and he's so gifted at being able to escape and extend plays that it's somehow translated with like the casual fan that he's not a good passer.
Yeah.
And if you look over his last 6 games especially, I mean, he struggled early on. He struggled against LSU.
He looks bad in that game. Save a couple of throws before he got hurt. He hit a couple big throws, and he made a huge run. But, in terms of throwing the ball, I was not impressed.
When they went to Alabama, they had everything kind of seemed to turn a corner. They lost that game, but you saw him reel off 70% completion percentage, I think, in 5 of his last 6 games, 17 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Protecting the football was a big thing. And the first half of the year, especially, 9 fumbles. He only had 2, I think, the last however many games. But I do think that he is a much better passer than people think. And I also think the talent he's going to have at his disposal from the skill position is going to be a lot better than it was a year ago.
Is Nick Harbor going to do anything, or is he just going to be fast and big?
I pray to God that he is awesome because I have been saying since I feel like 2018 that he's Nick Harbor breakout. I've been so excited for it. Him and Trey Knox, I have been talking about them going to the next level for a decade. I mean, he has all the tools, but here's the thing too. He just started playing football not that long ago. And then on top of that, this is the first full year where he didn't have track in the spring, and which by the way was not just for conditioning or for fun or he liked doing it. He was training for the U.S. Olympic team. Mm-hmm. So he's very elite, but one of the quotes he had was almost dumbfounding and frustrating with what he said. He's like, I finally know all the routes in the route tree. It's good. It's awesome.
It's year 3.
Proud of you, bro.
I mean, it's so. How big a deal is Dowell Loggins moving on and them trying to figure out what they want to be on offense?
Dowell Loggins, the first 6 games of the year was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, just awful. And I don't know what clicked the final 6 games. I don't think that losing Dowell Loggins with how bad he was for the first year and a half or so, especially the first 6 games, they were in the bottom 5 of almost every major category in the SEC. Mike Shula coming in, having 40 years of experience, also with a quarterback like Cam Newton, who you told me off air that is basically the same as Lenore Sellers. He's a poor man's Lenore Sellers.
I making things up.
Yeah, that's it's fine. But I do think I do think that they are not going to have a massive step back.
Yeah.
I think, again, the biggest thing is like the floor from the talent level has been constantly rising over the past couple of years.
What are the vibes like with South Carolina fans? Like last year, kind of came out of nowhere, at least to me, and now you're a team that was thought of as a potential outsider for the playoff.
Yeah. Do
they expect to be right back there, or what's the feeling?
I don't know. Hope is
not a lot of positive, history in South Carolina football.
Let's not get into that for sure, because I'm pretty sure. I think you can count on two hands how many 9-win seasons they've had. But what he's been able to do and how quickly he's been able to turn it around, I think that 2022 November kind of cost them in 2023 because they just didn't have as much talent. Like they don't have a roster that's loaded with dudes like everyone else in the SEC. I do think last year there was the entire country, not the entire country, but a lot of people from the outside of Columbia were thinking he was on the hot seat. They were going to go 5-7. They were not going to be a good team. There was a very quiet confidence inside those four walls the entire offseason. They knew what they had. This year, I feel like they have a really good team, but it's going to have to be a lot more like, I'm not comparing him to Cam Newton, but it's like, can this guy go out and win you a ball game? Because he's going to have to do something that's going to win you at least 1-2.
Well, they better get off to a good start because I'm going to read the end of this, and it is not pleasant. At LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at A&M, Coastal, and Clemson.
They're like 2-10 against A&M. They've never won.
Yeah. So the beginning is Virginia Tech and Atlanta, then South Carolina State, Vanderbilt, at Missouri, Kentucky. That's the first 5. It's very manageable.
Yeah.
If they don't cruise through that, it's a train wreck.
So here's the thing, though. Like I always say this with Carolina, the schedule is a schedule no matter what, because they're coming off of when they used to play Georgia in September, Clemson in November, every year of their existence. Last year, the end of the season, they won 6 straight games. 4 of those 6 teams were ranked at the time. And also, by the way, Vanderbilt, who was ranked like at 25th, they beat them by 21. Yeah. Bama obviously lost to them. Texas only beat them by 3. You saw what they did to A&M, like you brought up. You saw what they did on the road to Clemson. You saw what they did, against Missouri late. They won a lot of those games. Oklahoma's another one. They won a lot of those games, and they won big. So they have to figure out a way to continue that momentum. And whatever happened in that Pop-Tart or Citrus Bowl, was it Citrus Bowl? Cheez-It Bowl?
I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in the South Carolina bowl game. No shot.
Brett Bielema got into a
fight.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that.
They got into a dance-off.
I now recall. Brett Bielema.
I mean, just
what a
absolutely
troll.
bullied Shane Beamer over and over and over again. And here's the thing, too. It's like, it'd be one thing. Obviously, he was being kind of a jerk, I'll say. But you can't have that happen and then not run 10 people out on the field the next play and have to take a timeout because you've lost your composure in the Cheez-It Bowl.
Did Shane have anything to say today? I mean, he sometimes is decent for a good quote.
He
gave you a good question.
I'm gonna look both ways here. He is very long-winded, and
yes,
that's coming from me, which is crazy. No, he had some good stuff. I think that he is a constant chip on his shoulder that really aligns with how this fan base feels about a lot of stuff in that program, whether it's accurate or not, or it's going to change or anything like that. He did say they feel like they have like the pieces in place to make a run, and they do have a lot more depth. The recruiting has been a lot better. And here's the thing, too. Every year they're going to be in the same group where you're going to just dismiss them and not give them like the benefit of the doubt. But that's just where they live. They're like, no offense, Rips. They're like Mississippi State of the East. I used to always say that. They're like very mirrored programs. But this guy, like, you look at it, like what he's done from the portal and from a development standpoint. Like, he hasn't had a lot of misses. And everyone they're getting, like, they're turning 3-stars into top 50 draft picks. And there's a lot going on in that program that doesn't get enough credit.
It's one of those deals. It's about, and you're talking about what they are. They're in the middle tier program here in the SEC, maybe bottom third of the what was the East. It's like, who are you? Like, what's your expectation? Like, do you want to try to swing for the fences? Do you realize that you're probably not going to hit a home run, and you've got a guy that's making you competitive? Like, there's a fine line there.
With like coaching?
Yeah, like in terms of what you expect out of the program.
Well, and Spurrier ruined
his
fan base.
He did.
Because like that would be like if Saban came to Bama for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then just left after like the kick 6. But like in the middle of the play. Because he left mid-year. So Muschamp obviously.
Yeah, he left after LSU beat him.
Yeah.
That was the last game. I was like, all right, that's it.
I mean, it is a fan base that has not had a ton of success, for sure, like you said. And it's also a fan base, though, that's kind of easy to I feel like appease. Like you want to make sure you're bowl eligible. You want to be in contention with Clemson. And the biggest thing for them is they're not expecting 11-win seasons every year. But there is a feeling in this fan base where it's like, when are they going to start being taken seriously? Because I tell you what, I will go to my deathbed saying, I know they lost to Ole Miss. I know they lost to Bama. If Alabama had won 6 straight games over 4 ranked opponents and Jalen Milroe, your favorite quarterback, was 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions against that competition, they would have been in the playoff. 1,000%.
It's possible. It's I'm still skeptical. I think they just look at the number right of the dash and they just don't care how you get there, and that irritates me. I think that's the way.
Committee?
Yeah, you lost 2 and you lost 3, so 2's in, 3's out.
Yeah.
Like that, and that drives me nuts. But I can't disagree that you're right on that. And so, yeah, it's very possible. I'm curious about South Carolina because that's going to be a pivotal game for LSU too. I mean,
in Death Valley,
he's a scary. When the quarterback can make plays and do some stuff, you always got a swinging chance.
I think that the thing with Beamer too is that his first 3 years before last year, he was 2-10 in road games in the SEC. Like, they were not very good. Last year, they ended up going 3-1. I think the one loss was to Bama by 2 points.
Yeah. And
then the 3 wins were by an average of like 23 points per game. So maybe they've turned the corner, or maybe it was 1 year, but we'll see, man. It's going to be. We have so many opportunities for house divided stuff at the job.
With South Carolina.
South Carolina, Alabama. I'll pick up another team. Mississippi State.
Yeah, we got plenty. We're very well represented. Very diverse group there at Guarantee and LouisianaSports.net. Appreciate a little bit of time. We'll let you get back to work. Whatever it is that you're going to do.
I'm going to stay for the next segment. It'll be good.
We're going to talk about wet weeks in the next segment, so you can hang on if you want to do that. So,
he should be a politician.
He's the best. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's absolutely hilarious. Had a big time today. So we'll hear from Wet Weeks when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Live from the 2025 SEC Football Media Days. Powered by Parish Construction and Roofing. Enter now for your chance to win $10,000 cash at parishbuilt.com. Our coverage is also presented by Rev and Relief Windows.
Chugging along here, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're on Radio Road, SEC Football Media Days 2025, the unofficial kickoff of football season. LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt on day one here from the ATL. Before we get to some week sound, the 10th round has come and gone in the Major League Baseball draft. Cade Woods was selected, right-handed pitcher from LSU, in the 10th round by the Atlanta Braves. I believe the Braves will use some of that slot money, although it's not a ton of money, to help pay Briggs McKenzie, who they took a little bit earlier today, who was in LSU's signing class, left-handed pitcher from North Carolina. They won't have to pay Woods much at all, and if they need to save some money to go get McKenzie, they will go ahead and do that. So the first 10 rounds have come and gone. Now is the interesting part of the draft where you can take a player and there's no slot value. You can pay him as much as you have from your bonus pool that's left over. So that's just an issue of what teams have big bonus pools, what teams took seniors and have money left over, who got players under slot. There's a lot of nuance to that, but if you're looking for updates on the MLB draft and how things have gone for LSU, you can check out their draft tracker on LouisianaSports.net. It is up and running. I will add Cade Woods to it when I'm done with this segment. But let's talk some football. Whit Weeks was here for SEC Media Days, junior linebacker in his home state of Georgia. And the first question that was asked was like, hey, how you feeling? That injury was pretty gruesome in the bowl game.
I'm 100% now. So we started this summer, doing PRPs, and I kind of eased my way back into it in June. But once we got to July, I've been going every single snap, and it really is a relief to just be back out there and be feeling like myself again.
And that'll certainly be a wonderful sight to see for LSU fans because he just had a monster season last year. Whit Weeks finished second in the Southeastern Conference in tackles, just insanely productive. Is going to be on preseason All-American lists, and deservedly so because he's been a great player at LSU for 2 seasons. Hopefully in his draft year, it's another awesome one. They asked him what he's looking forward to with this football season.
Oh, everything from the top to the bottom, the guys that we brought in and the guys who are coming back this year. One of the things that I'm most looking forward to is getting back out there with Harold. I mean, he's obviously, in my opinion, the best defensive football player in college. So getting back out there on the field with him, I know me and him are just going to have a blast out there together.
I mean, how can you not love Whit Weeks? The guy is just a ball of energy. It's not going to be in the cuts we play for you here, but he was asked by one of the non-local reporters after some of these answers that he gives. He's got this huge smile on his face, and that Georgia drawl comes out. And somebody asked him, like, is this how you always are? Or is this kind of like you on the camera for media days? Like, no, this is just how I am. Like, he's just an incredible guy to listen to when he's in front of the mic. He's talking about Harold Perkins, and then the question was begged, like, okay, well, where should Harold Perkins play? And this is what Whit said.
Just let Harold be Harold. I mean, that dude's a superstar, so if you just let him be him, he's going to go make every single play in the world. And really, this offseason, him rehabbing and me rehabbing, we got really close this offseason. And when the days looked long for me, he was always a guy that I could lean on, and he would always push me to be my best in days that I couldn't even hardly walk. He was right there beside me, hey, look, keep your head up. You're going to get through this. It's going to get better.
Those two guys are the backbone of this defense. Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins are the backbone of the defense. They are third-year players. Harold's actually, I guess that'd be fourth year. No, just third year. Third year for Harold. And it's those two guys, their athleticism, their ability to run and to play in space is going to be a hallmark of this defense moving forward. But they'll also added a ton of different players to this LSU defense, a lot of whom came out of the transfer portal. And Whit Weeks talked about the defense being more than just a couple of guys at linebacker.
That's definitely something I embrace, yes, sir, for sure. But at the end of the day, it's not just me and Harold out there. We got me, him, and 9 other dudes who I all think are incredible football players. Like, it's not just me and him out there. Our defense this year, we got from the top to the bottom, safeties, cornerbacks, linebackers, outside linebackers, D tackles. I think we have a great unit this year.
That's the hope, and I feel better about the defense than I do the offensive line. If we're talking about the question marks on LSU's team, the offensive line gives me a ton of pause. The defense, I think, is going to be better. I just do. I think that they've done such a good job of identifying veteran players who have skins on the wall in college that can come in and do their job. And I'm not telling you it's going to look like the 2011 defense, but not the 2003 defense, but I think it's going to be better, and Weeks is a big part of that. And this is a fun answer to listen to from Whit Weeks when he talks about how this group has kind of bonded together in the offseason. This is Whit Weeks talking about his defense.
I believe that our chemistry really wasn't built on the football field. It was built in the offseason when we're just spending time together outside of football as a unit. Everybody hanging out with everybody, hanging out, having a good time, just boys being boys rather than trying to just be out there on the football field. You really create those special bonds in the moments away from the football field when you're not talking about football, when you're just being friends, being best friends, playing the video game, whatever you're doing. That's when that chemistry is really built, and I think we've done a great job of that this offseason, is spending intentional time with each other away from the football field.
I mean, that's some wholesome commentary right there from Whit Weeks, talking about playing video games, guys being guys, hanging out with the boys. It's just a guy that loves being on a football team, and he loves being on LSU's football team. And one of the reasons he loves being on LSU's football team is because Blake Baker is the defensive coordinator, and Whit Weeks gushed about his defensive coordinator today.
I think Coach Baker is the best coach in college football. I love that dude to death, and I've said this many times before. The energy that he brings every day, it's hard to go in that building and not be on 100 at all times, because he's going to be on 100 at all times. And we love playing for him, and there's nobody else in this country that we would rather play for than Coach Baker.
He told a story about Blake Baker today. They were low on numbers entering bowl prep. So Blake Baker he wears cleats to practice. He comes out and he was repping on the will linebacker side to give the defense the look it was looking for. Like, he was out there practicing with the team. And Whit Weeks said he still got a step, old Coach Baker, but he loves playing for him. He loved talking about him earlier today. And that's a look at kind of the defense. But I wanted to cap this segment with another bite from Whit, talking about Clemson, because if you were listening at the top of the show, or if you've heard any LSU commentary today, they've talked about Clemson ad nauseum to this point, and Whit Weeks talked about it as well.
We know what our goals are for this season, and one of our goals is obviously to win that first game. So every day we go into work and we see that paw print, and we're like, all right, this is what we're doing this for right now, is to go win that season opener.
They've got it painted all over the weight room. There's paw prints on bags that they're hitting and in the weight and equipment. It is a huge, huge, huge point of emphasis for this football team to find a way somehow to get to camp and get to the football field and win the first game. It's just, they're sick of losing that first game. It takes the air right out of the balloon, and this is just a season where you can't afford to have that happen because there's so much anticipation, there's so much excitement, there is a lot of talent, and there's a lot of talent that's not going to be here this time next year. There's a lot of guys on that team that are going to play their last year of college football either because they're out of eligibility or because you're sitting here talking about a guy that's going to go to the NFL. So it's a huge, huge game. They've talked about it all morning, and certainly Whit Weeks gave his thoughts on it as well. So that's a little bit of insight from Whit Weeks, who was really the star of the morning wave of the interviews. The folks that had not heard Whit Weeks or had not been around Whit Weeks or interacted with Whit Weeks, it was really fun to watch them do that. I will say this: if you were listening to the morning show today and you heard Garrett Nussmeier on with Jake and Flynn, and you heard the disappointment in Matt Flynn's face when Garrett Nussmeier had never heard of Jonathan Moxon, which for those of you listening, I think most of you probably have an idea who that is. Of course, the quarterback from Varsity Blues. Nussmeier didn't know. And they said on the air, Whit's our only chance. He's got this. We know Whit is going to know who Jonathan Moxon is. Hester tracked him downstairs. I was right there. He asked him who Jonathan Moxon was, and Whit Weeks looked at him like he was nuts. Said, I have no idea who that is. And Hester was devastated. I relayed the news back to Flynn. Devastation. Those two guys felt like their hopes were Nussmeier and Weeks, and neither of them came through with the Varsity Blues information. But Whit Weeks did say that he would watch the movie, so we'll see. You'll get maybe more reporting on that tomorrow morning on Off the Bench, when those guys fired up from 7 to 10 here at the College Football Hall of Fame. All right, when we come back, one of the guys that I think is a potential breakout player on this LSU team is Chris Hilton. He was here today. We'll hear some from him, some from his quarterback as well about him when we come back on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every new purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's as good as you're going to find in the industry. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Also, 3 years of complimentary maintenance. If that's not enough, 3 years of valet complimentary maintenance. Nothing worse than sinking your whole morning into car maintenance. Not productive, not particularly pleasant generally, not what you want to do. Well, you don't have to. They'll come get your car. They'll get it serviced. They'll give you a loaner so you get on about your day. They'll bring your car right back to you when it is done. That's part of the experience of being a Genesis driver. Check out the entire inventory online at Genesis of Baton Rouge, but I highly recommend go by and see them. Airline at Picu across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Live from the 2025 SEC Football Media Days, powered by Parish Construction and Roofing. Enter now for your chance to win $10,000 cash at parishbuilt.com. Our coverage is also presented by Rev and Relief Windows.
Garrett Nussmeier, Whit Weeks, Chris Hilton, LSU's three representatives at SEC Football Media Day earlier today. You will hear from Chris Hilton and Garrett Nussmeier. And Whit Weeks, all three of them. You'll hear from all three of them on After Further Review. I was curious if I saw all three of them here. I did. So you'll hear from all three of them. I want to talk about Chris Hilton in this segment. If you listened to the show in the first hour, when I sat down with Brian Kelly, one of the questions I asked him was about Chris Hilton's impact on the offense, specifically last year's offense, which was incredibly efficient in the passing game. They were great. Nussmeier led the country in completions for much of the year. They were the best third down team in the Southeastern Conference. They were very good at completing passes and matriculating the ball down the field. What they weren't great at was hitting the big play. And Brian Kelly, I said that to Brian Kelly in the first hour. He agreed. He's like, yeah, we couldn't get the big play. And now we've got guys that can burn because they've got Berrien Brown who can absolutely go. And we know what Chris Hilton can do. And Chris Hilton came back last year in the last 3 games and caught 3 touchdowns for 27 yards per catch. He is a burner and a game changer and a difference maker that LSU just didn't have outside of Hilton last year. And I think that missing link is going to be so vital to this LSU team. You have got to get safeties and corners out of the box so you can run the ball. And you can do that by lining up scary dudes on the outside at wide receiver that can run by you, and Hilton is one of those guys. So I thought Chris Hilton did a really nice job at Media Day today. I had a chance to see him in multiple interview sessions, and you'll hear this sound, which was in the big media ballroom. There were 4 or 5 reporters there, but they kind of let me, since I was the only local person there, have a few back and forth with Chris Hilton. So here's just some things that I got out of Chris Hilton earlier today.
Chris, last year y'all's passing game was really good.
Yeah.
The big play wasn't quite there as much. When you were watching from the sideline, did you feel like I might be able that I might be the missing piece for that?
Yeah, and I mean, as we all saw when I came back, it did hit off right away, but we saw what it was the last 2 games, so it's gonna be the same thing this year.
You and Garrett have worked together a lot. Y'all came in together. What's your chemistry like with him?
We came in the same class in 21. We both old now, you know what I mean? So, like I said, we just been working on that connection, that chemistry for the last 4 years.
Y'all brought in some wide receivers. Y'all got a lot of talent in that room.
Yeah.
Is it like a fight for the ball, or is there a competition? Like, what's the relationship you've got with the whole group there?
We one big family. A lot of jokes being cracked, a lot of dances, trying to being figured out for the games. I think the stipulation would be that you would think it would cause problems, but at the same time, everybody's going to eat. Like, that's the reality of the situation, you know what I'm saying? You can't just put your focus on one person as a defense, because if you focus on one person, you're leaving 2 others. And if you somehow find a way to guard 2 people, you still got a third. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
40-yard dash, who's going to win with the wide receiver group?
Me.
Is there anybody close? I mean, Jelani runs pretty good.
I'm joking, bro. It's a bunch of fast guys in that room. Me and Jelani go back and forth all the time about who's the fastest. We tied right now in races. So yeah, we just got to have this run. Like, if we ever get the chance to race, we always race. Like, that's just how it is.
That's some good stuff, I think, from Chris Hilton. That's absolutely true. There are a lot of talented wide receivers, and it sounds like they understand that at this point, not everybody is going to make 16 catches a game. You're going to have to eat when it's your opportunity, and Garrett Nussmeier figures to give a lot of those opportunities. So whether it's Chris Hilton one day, Barian Brown one day, Nick Anderson one day, Aaron Anderson one day, you mentioned Jelani Watkins, who's as fast as anybody in college football. There are a lot of dudes that can catch the ball on this LSU receiving corps, and I didn't even mention Trey'Dez Green and Bauer Sharp at tight end, who can be really, really good. But I thought that after I heard from Chris and chatted with him a little bit, I walked over and got a chance to ask Garrett Nussmeier a question about Chris Hilton. And I'm going to use this in my story for LouisianaSports.net a little bit later today. But I asked Garrett about what Chris Hilton brings that they didn't have from him last year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that speed, people like to argue was his only thing, but I believe, since the beginning, Chris had a special talent, as far as tracking the football, route running, and he's only gotten better and developed over the years as well. And so that speed is now an elite trait of his that he uses as a weapon. And obviously we were raving about Chris, in fall camp last year, and nobody was really able to see that early in the year because of his injury. But I think if you watch the last 3 games of the season last year, you could see how much of a different team we were and would have been if we would have had a healthy Chris Hilton. His ability to take the top off, his ability to run a backside dig and catch it and go 60 yards to the house because of his speed is unbelievable. And so he's done an unbelievable job of just attacking and whether it was recovery throughout his rehab and things like that. And obviously we came in together, so that's somebody that I'll always have a relationship with, and so I'm super excited for him this year.
It's Garrett Nussmeier talking about Chris Hilton. I can tell you this. August is a time for a massive amount of optimism. Everybody's undefeated, and my song and dance on that whole deal. But the smoke around Chris Hilton the last 2 fall camps is not made up. It is not something that was behind closed doors, that's a narrative that's being pushed. We go out there and see some practice, and when we go out there and see some practice, Chris Hilton was dominating. He was making big plays down the sideline. He was high-pointing red zone catches. Like, he was doing everything you need a wide receiver to do. I think when he got to LSU, he was a straight-line speed guy, and that was enough in high school. You go to Zachary and you just run real fast. That works just fine. But everybody's fast in the SEC, and in college football, you've got to be a complete wide receiver. You've got to learn the technical aspects of what you're doing. And Chris Hilton has developed that. We just can't ever see it because he's been hurt all the time. And there's nothing that guarantees that he'll be healthy this year. But if he is, he brings an element that LSU desperately needed. And I think that in a small part, I talked about this in the first hour, a small part of LSU's inconsistency in the running game last year had to be because they didn't threaten anyone deep. You just weren't scared that Kyron Lacey and Aaron Anderson and C.J. Daniels were going to hurt you deep. And Mason Taylor certainly wasn't. It was a team that lived and died in the intermediate and short passing game. And that brings everybody up to the line of scrimmage. And then you're trying to block them all to run the ball, and you can't do it. So the threat that Chris Hilton and Berrien Brown bring to LSU's offense, that they can line up and run right by you for a scoreboard changer, is big in a bunch of different ways. And it affects the way that teams can play defense against you. So I think Chris Hilton is an easy pick to be a big-time playmaker on this LSU team. That's the sense you got from Brian Kelly today. That's the sense you got from Garrett Nuttmeyer. And that's the exact same you heard from Chris Hilton, who told me, like, you saw it in the last two games, it's going to be the same this year. He thinks he's just going to run by everybody. And he might. He certainly did against Oklahoma in Tiger Stadium. And he did in the bowl game against Baylor as well. So I think that's a very, very interesting storyline for this LSU football team as we move closer and closer to the actual season, which is coming your way here in just a month's time. All right, we're here at SEC Football Media Days, the 2025 edition on Radio Row. Clark Lee is up there talking to the journalists there in the room. He's the last coach to do so. Brian Kelly led things off today. And you had Shane Beamer, Lane Kiffin met with media for an extended period of time a little bit earlier. Now Clark Lee is wrapping things up. We talked a little bit about South Carolina. I know we only got one more segment left to go, but we'll pause. We'll come back. I'll talk briefly about Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. Then we'll play some Take It or Leave It, and we'll pass the baton to Matt, who will be here for AFR from 3 to 6 right here at the College Football Hall of Fame. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. It doesn't have to be a huge renovation. They can do a huge renovation. They're a licensed contractor, bonded, insured. He can handle that if you need a brand new bathroom. But if you do something simple, he can do that too. Tub to shower conversions are David Duvall's bread and butter there at One Bath and Closets. If you have a tub that you don't use, well, why don't you go ahead and get rid of it? Put a gorgeous glass walk-in shower in, change the look of your bathroom, change the functionality of your bathroom as well, add a little value to your home. It's One Bath and Closets. Get that free consultation at OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
Live from the 2025 SEC Football Media Days, powered by Parish Construction and Roofing. Enter now for your chance to win $10,000 cash at parishbuilt.com. Our coverage is also presented by Rev and Relief Windows.
Things down for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show here from SEC Media Days in Atlanta. Kind of the day of the celebrity quarterbacks for the SEC. You got Garrett Nussmeier, Lenora Sellers, you got Diego Pavia, and then you got Ole Miss with Austin Simmons, who is new. Let's bring on a quarterback, Greg McElroy, former Alabama quarterback, of course, of WJOX over in Alabama and the SEC Network. Greg, thanks for the time. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. It's great. It's a fun day. I love talking season. I do. It's so much
here.
fun.
It is here.
We're here.
And it'll be here for a while.
We're in it.
So let's talk about those quarterbacks that I just mentioned. We'll start with the one locally for us with Garrett Nussmeier. Had a big year in his first year as a starter, threw for 4,000 yards last year. What did you like in his game last year?
There's very little not to love. I mean, the guy is awesome, really gifted thrower. But BK told us that 2 years ago. I remember we were doing the first game of the Brian Kelly era. They were playing Florida State. And they're sitting there like, at that point, it's Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier. Who's going to start? He goes, I got to be honest with you guys, it's so close. We're going to go with Daniels because he's played. But this is a photo finish here at the end. And if Jaden struggles, Nuss is in. Like, he basically told us that. And we're like, no way. All right, cool. Awesome. This Nuss kid must be the real deal. And sure enough, like, he's stuck to that. He goes, this kid Nussmeier is really good. He's really good. And just continued to go back to it. He got his shot last year. and he played great, but he did do some of the things that I think that had held him back from becoming the guy when he was competing with Jaden. He takes chances. He's bold. But the one thing I think that he can clean up a little bit is understanding when that chance needs to be taken. There's a time and a place. And if it's, hey, got to have it situation, you're playing on 4th and 10 against Ole Miss, you got to make that throw, make it. By all means, fit it in a tight window. But maybe don't have to try that with 3 minutes left in the first quarter when you're on your own 31-yard line. And I think he's just the process of evolving. Last year I felt like he was very much in prove-it mode. Like, I got to show the world. I'm going to show you guys what I can do. Now he doesn't have to do that anymore. Everyone already acknowledged he's great. Now it's just about cleaning up a few things and then being a little more willing with his legs to keep defenses honest.
Brian Kelly said today in the big ballroom, like, the defense we put on the field the last 2 years is just not even close to being a championship defense. What do you see when you've seen LSU on defense the last couple of years, and how much better do you think they can be with the additions that they've made?
Well, there was progress made last year, but the problem with Blake Baker's system, and I've kind of tried to paint the picture for LSU fans, to go from what Matt House did 2 years ago to what Blake Baker wanted to be last year. Defensively, you're thinking, oh, there's 40 linemen. Just how hard is it? Like, it's the same thing. Like, oh, they play this coverage. Cool, same thing. It's the equivalent of going from Les Miles' offense with the fullback and 2 tight ends to Joe Burrow's offense with Joe Brady in 1 year. And yet, yeah, there were tangible gains, but there were also a lot of big plays given up because guys were not always in the responsibilities that they needed to be in. Now they are, I would think, have a much better understanding of who goes where and how the puzzle fits together. So there are not going to be as many freebies. There's not going to be as many cheap, big plays given up. There's not going to be as many gashes in the run game because guys will understand where they're supposed to go in the big picture scheme. So I think Blake Baker, when he hired him, I'll stick to it now. I thought it was a phenomenal hire. And I think with the athleticism that LSU can attract, it should be a really, really good and disruptive defense this season.
Lenore Sellers was here today with South Carolina. LSU does play South Carolina in Baton Rouge later on this fall. Does he have enough of a supporting cast?
TBD. You know, I think last year his supporting cast was Mazio Bennett in the slot, and then he had a really good tight end, Josh Simon. Josh Simon's gone. Mazio's back. Nick Harbor's still there. He now did not run track this year, so hopefully he gets that springtime bump that we haven't gotten from him in the past. And then they've had a couple guys that were a little bit banged up at times. So the honest question, I'm bullish. I'm optimistic. But I don't know for certain. The good news is with Lenore Steller's skill set, you don't have to have like an outrageously gifted supporting cast. Like, he's good enough to just take the game over by himself. The man would go a long way if you had to double cover one of his receivers, because that would be one less guy to account for his legs in the run game. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see his development, and if that group around him can grow, that offense can be really scary.
Greg McElroy is our guest here with Sanderson Farm. We'll talk about that here in a second. But let's talk about Austin Simmons at Ole Miss. They've lost so much from that team that was so talented last year. How do you feel about Lane Kiffin's squad this year?
Well, we'll talk about Austin Simmons for a second. Defensively, I have concerns. They just lost so many good pieces, and they were really, really good defensively last year. Now they have a few guys back that have played that'll be helpful, but there's a lot of new faces and a lot of star power that was lost off that front defensively. But Austin Simmons is a guy I feel really good about. I mean, a lot of your listeners, I would imagine, are diehard baseball fans. If you're not, we need to have a conversation because LSU.
I've got the draft pulled up right now,
pretty
so don't
dang
worry.
good in baseball. So I don't think I'm telling anybody listening in your audience that they didn't know that. But you know, when you watch baseball players throw, there's like a certain freedom within their shoulders. There's a certain freedom with how they release the football. Their arm is almost whippy. You know, it's like it doesn't look natural. Patrick Mahomes has some of that, where he does things with his arm. It's like, how did he do that? It's like it bent backwards at a 90-degree angle, and it feels like he should have a torn rotator cuff. Austin Simmons has some of that. Just really a natural release, really a unique release, really flexible in his upper body. So he just has he's fun to watch. I mean, that's kind of the best way I'd use to describe him. He's kind of like a middle infielder that can throw it from anywhere, and I think he's got a lot of potential. And they got good supporting cast around him too. So I think Ole Miss on offense is going to be scary, but I think on defense they're going to have some problems.
One more, I got to get a vibe check in Tuscaloosa before I let you get out of here. Obviously, year one with Kalen DeBoer, you got a new quarterback coming in with Simpson. What are the vibes in T-Town?
Well, what I've been trying to just continue to emphasize, and this is by no means excuse making, right? Like, we don't make excuses at Alabama. Nobody makes excuses at Alabama. We don't make excuses on behalf of Alabama. But if you look at the teams that lost their coach, when they lost their coach that time of year, the challenges were significant. You look at what Michigan was in the first 2 months of the season. You look at what Washington was off a national championship. They get to a bowl game, but barely at 6-6. And you look at Arizona, preseason favorites in the Big 12, or one of the preseason favorites. They finished 4-8. That was a really hard time to step into the role. So it was hard, I think, for Kalen DeBoer to get everybody to really buy into his system, because there just wasn't enough time. He had to sell guys, hey, stay, please stay, please stay, please stay. So as a result, he kind of lost the luxury of being able to kind of put the hammer down from time to time. But I think that the roster is well-equipped to be much better this year, have more continuity. The quarterback play last year was really up and down. This year's quarterback play might not have the ceiling of last year's quarterback play, but whoever it is, that guy's going to be steadier. I think he's going to be steadier. He's going to be a little more predictable and easier to coach around, I think. Whereas I think they've also improved along the receiver core, and I think at running back they'll be just fine. The offensive line's the big question. I think they're going to be fine. I just don't know if they're going to be elite. But that's okay. I don't know that many teams that are elite along the offensive line anymore. So I think Bama's going to be really good. To me, the top four are Texas, Bama, Georgia, and LSU. Those are the top four. Whatever order you want to have them in is perfectly up to you. But I think it's those four and then a slight gap. And then you start getting to the next tier with Oklahoma, with South Carolina, with Florida potentially, with Tennessee potentially, and a handful of others. But those first four are kind of, I think they've kind of separated a little bit from the rest of the pack.
Tell us about Sanderson Farms. I know that's why you're here.
Well, they're so excited to be a part of the SEC. That's what I think is, sometimes you have big brands and stuff like that are like, oh, okay, yeah, the SEC, cool. Sanderson Farms is so fired up to be a part of the SEC because they've already invested in SEC programs. They've invested several different universities in their poultry science divisions. They've done such a great job of kind of ingratiating themselves into the league before they were an official sponsor. So now we've just made it official. You know what I mean? They dated for a long time. Now it's official. They're married, and it's fantastic. So we are thrilled to have them. What I love, my wife's, she's all about health and all this stuff. No additives, no added sugar, no added salt, none of that stuff. I mean, it's clean, quality chicken. So to have them as the official chicken of the SEC is fantastic. I think one thing that's really cool too, they're giving away tickets to this year's SEC championship game. Airfare, hotel, swag, you name it, they got it. All you got to do is follow Sanderson Farms on Instagram, tag a friend, and the winner will be announced in November. So that is an opportunity too to get involved, get activated, and potentially come and watch the SEC championship on Sanderson Farms dime.
Awesome. We got 2 minutes to go. We'll let you get out of here. Appreciate it, Greg. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, guys.
That is Greg McElroy, former Alabama quarterback, national champion, and with WJOX and with Sanderson Farms here today. We're winding things down here. Always want to tell you about our guys, Flight by Yuengling. It is the next generation of light beer. They bring you Take It or Leave It every single day, but we didn't have time for Take It or Leave It today because we had Greg McElroy, and we'd rather chat about that. So shout out to Yuengling. It's the summer months. It's hot. If you're looking for something cold and refreshing, light on calories, full on flavor, it is Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. Been a fun show and a lot going on here at SEC Football Media Days. Started things up this morning at about 7 o'clock your time, 8 o'clock this time, with the boys on Off the Bench. They had a great show. Had Garrett Nussmeier sit down with them. They'll be back in action tomorrow. And we'll have another full day on Tuesday here with 4 new teams. Today was LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is winding things down in the ballroom just in front of me here. We had a great conversation earlier with Brian Kelly. Had a good conversation as well with Chris Hilton that you got to hear. So if you missed any of that, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, and review. We certainly appreciate you getting our content in front of as many folks as possible. 30. MLB draft is 10 rounds down. So I've got a tracker up at louisianasports.net right now. If you want to see how LSU's signing class and current roster have been affected, you can do that all afternoon for free there. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to pass the baton to our guy, Matt Moscone. He's going to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow from Media Row right here at SEC Football Media Days 2025 with another edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.